In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what I would do to get absolutely ripped if I started at 30% body fat. And make sure you watch till the end because I'm going to give you access to the exact program in detail for absolutely free. So without further ado, let's jump right in. The first thing I would do is find a starting point. That means figuring out my maintenance calories and breaking that down into a macronutrient distribution that supports muscle mass, body composition, and performance. Let's say I was 190 pounds. I'd multiply my body weight by around 14 to find my estimated maintenance, which comes to about 2,600 calories. From there, I'd set up my macros starting with protein. Since I'm beginning around 30% body fat, I'd aim for around 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, so roughly 150 to 190 grams per day. This keeps me in a range where studies show I can maximize muscular adaptations. In fact, a 2016 study by Longlin and colleagues found that trained individuals consuming around 1.1 grams of protein per pound of body weight were able to gain muscle and lose fat even while dieting. As my body fat drops, I'd gradually increase my protein intake to maximize the retention of lean body mass. In other words, the longer I diet or the more aggressive the deficit, the more protein I'd consume. Next, I'd allocate fats and carbs from the remaining calories. First, I'd make sure fats stay above 15 to 30% of total calories to support key physiological functions, especially testosterone production, which becomes even more important for men our age. Then, I'd utilize carbs to fuel my training and recovery, keeping them higher on lifting days, particularly for the meals around my workouts, and lower on rest days. Now, this isn't something you have to do, but as you get further into your cut and performance starts to take a hit, this adjustment could help mitigate that. I also wouldn't obsess over every gram of fats and carbs. As long as protein is covered and I'm meeting my total calories for the day, the rest can be flexible. At the end of the day, the goal is to keep my diet sustainable, something I can stick to long term without micromanaging every bite. The next step would be to create a calorie deficit. Once I know how many calories I'll be consuming and they're broken down into my preferred macronutrient ratio, I track and adjust to ensure I'm in a calorie deficit. The way I would do this is quite simple. I'd weigh myself every morning, first thing after waking up, under the same conditions. Then I'd take a weekly average and use that as my baseline. After 2 full weeks of consistent eating and tracking, I'd look at the trend. If the average weight is going down, this means I'm in a deficit and I'd likely leave my calories there. If the average is flat, that means I'm at maintenance, so I drop calories by around 200 to 300, which should be more than enough to put me in a deficit. If the average goes up, that means I'm in a surplus and I'd likely have to drop my calories by around 300 to 500 depending on how much weight I'm gaining. This approach makes fat loss methodical instead of emotional. I'm not making knee-jerk changes based on one bad weigh-in. I'm making adjustments based on clear trends, which matters even more when starting at a higher body fat. From there, I would dial in my training. Because the main goal is to maintain my muscle mass, I'd keep my lifting routine simple and structure it so that I'm training each muscle group about 2 to 3 times per week. This meta-analysis found that training each muscle group at least twice per week produces significantly greater hypertrophy than hitting them once. A more recent study took that further, comparing lifters doing 9 sets once a week versus 3 sets spread over 3 sessions. Both groups trained to failure, but the high-frequency group saw nearly double the muscle growth. Regardless of the science, I prefer high-frequency training because it gives me a smarter way to spread out my training volume. This means I can hit every session fresh, stimulate growth more consistently, and recover better between workouts. Ultimately, my goal would be to spread out my training to mitigate fatigue and ensure I'm maximizing the quality of each set. When it comes to volume, I keep it in the range of about 6 to 10 hard sets per muscle group per week. Research is pretty clear that we can maintain muscle mass with far less volume than it takes to build it. That said, I'm a bit delusional, so I'd probably try to gain some muscle mass, especially earlier on when my body fat is high and my calories are sufficient to support performance. To be more specific, I'd probably start with around 8 to 10 sets per muscle per week, then gradually bring that down as I get deeper into the cut. I also wouldn't train to complete failure. I'd stay around 1 or 2 reps shy just so the stimulus is high enough while still ensuring I'm not thrashing my recovery. That's the other thing to keep in mind. In a deficit, your recovery takes a hit. You've got less energy coming in, lower glycogen levels, and fewer resources to repair tissue. If you're overdoing it in the gym, you're likely to break down more muscle than you build, and you'll feel like garbage doing it. To summarize, I'd lift heavy enough to stimulate muscle growth or at least maintain it, hit each muscle at least twice per week, train close to failure, but probably not to complete failure, and essentially ensure I'm managing fatigue. As for cardio, I'd add it strategically and as needed. Cardio plays a role in fat loss, but it's not the main driver. Diet handles the deficit, lifting protects the muscle, and cardio is just a tool that helps increase energy expenditure. That said, I would keep it to a minimum and use it sparingly. If you've ever done a ton of cardio during a fat loss phase, you've probably experienced the insane increase in appetite that comes from trudging on the treadmill for extended periods of time. In a lot of cases, this can make it harder to stay in a calorie deficit long term. That said, I'd probably start with 1 or 2 low-intensity sessions around 15 minutes each. And when fat loss stalls, like it inevitably will, I'd drop my calories by about 100 before adding any additional cardio. And when it did come time to add cardio, I'd simply add an additional 5 to 10 minutes per session, and while I would eventually add an additional session, I'd only add it once I absolutely had to. The type of cardio also matters, since the goal is to simply burn some additional calories without accumulating too much fatigue. I'd focus on less intense styles of cardio, which brings me to the sponsor of today's video. If you're over 40 and looking for a way to burn fat, build conditioning, and protect your joints, rowing might be the best thing you're not doing. It's low impact, full body, and easy on the knees and lower back, which makes it perfect for guys like us who want to train hard without paying for it later. Now, when most people think of rowing machines, they think of the Concept 2, and for good reason. It's been the gold standard in gyms for years. But the rower I've been using lately, the Meroc R50, is one of the best value alternatives out there. You're getting the same smooth, powerful resistance you'd expect from an expensive machine for a fraction of the cost. It feels just as solid and well built as any commercial grade rower I've used. You get air resistance that actually responds to your effort, not just some preset drag level. It's built to handle bigger guys up to 350 pounds and 6'10". The rail is solid, the seat is cushioned and ergonomic, and the handle is comfortable even during longer sessions. It folds up easily and rolls out of the way when you're done. You also get full Bluetooth integration, so you can track your stats, sync to Apple Health or KinoMap, and even row virtual courses if you want that extra push. And right now, Meroc is hooking up my viewers with 25% off the R50. Just use the code ALIGN25 at checkout. To grab yours, click the link in the description, enter your code, and start training smarter. And lastly, I try to keep my activity high without additional exercise. Here's the thing, when you're in a calorie deficit, your body subconsciously tries to conserve energy. You start moving less without realizing it, and ultimately you end up burning fewer calories. To counter that, I'd set a daily step target of around 7,000 steps per day. I'd build it into my day by adding walks after meals, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, and parking further away from the store. That kind of low effort movement adds up fast without eating into recovery or triggering hunger. There's even research to back it up. One study showed that walking about 20 minutes a day boosted fat loss by 20% over 12 weeks. So, no, I wouldn't live on a treadmill. I'd simply keep my activity levels up by aiming for a specific step goal. Then, of course, I'd do that over a long enough period of time to reach my desired body fat level. Fat loss, when the goal is to maintain muscle mass, isn't easy, but it's simple. Find your maintenance calories, create a small calorie deficit, lift weights regularly, add a bit of cardio as needed, and keep an eye on your activity level as you get further into your cut. And if you want the exact program I'd follow, grab a copy of my Shred 40 Fat Loss Guide. This is a science-based fat loss program created specifically for men over 40 who want to get absolutely shredded without sacrificing their muscle mass, and right now you can grab a copy completely free. Just click the link in the description, enter your name and email, and get instant access. Did you find this video helpful? If so, click the like button below so YouTube hopefully shows it to more people. And if you're not already subscribed, I would truly appreciate it if you were as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.